Game number 81 for the Boston Celtics is in the nation's capital against the Wizards. This is the Celtics pregame report for CLNS Media. I'm your host, Joseph Pavone, fresh off a brief hiatus, but back to bring you a brand new edition of the Celtics pregame report. I got Tom Westerholm of MassLive.com here to preview this Celtics-Wizards game, a potential first-round matchup that we could see in the opening series of the NBA playoffs. Hey, welcome back, Tom.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
So I think out of all the first-round matchup scenarios for the Celtics, the Washington Wizards is one that is the scariest if you're the Boston Celtics or if you're a Celtics fan. Do you agree with this? And if so, explain why. If not, tell me why Celtics fans shouldn't be worried about the thought of this team facing a 7-game series against the Wizards coming up this weekend.
No, I think that's right. I think, and I think it more or less breaks down with the other teams. The Bucks obviously have Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is just an elite talent, but they really don't have, they have other, talented players as well, but they just don't really mesh that well. They don't really play that well together. Celtics almost beat them with that, makeshift group in Milwaukee, just a couple of weeks ago, or just a week ago or so. So, they're not really that concerning, I think, especially the way that Horford defends Antetokounmpo. That's really big. And with Miami, they just don't have that much star power. They play really well together, and I think it would be a competitive series. And to be clear, I think Milwaukee and Miami can both knock off the Celtics, but I think that the Wizards are probably the scariest, just because the backcourt they have that they can put out on the floor, especially without Marcus Smart, obviously without Avery Bradley this year. That's Bradley Beal and John Wall. They can really hurt you, and I think that's a group that, they basically brought back the same team as last year with a slightly better bench, not much better, but a little better. And they're just, I think they're potentially a playoff team. Like they're it's more a team built for the playoffs, I should say. They're definitely a playoff team. But I just think that they have the pieces that could put together a real run in the postseason. And that for a Celtics team that's missing all of the pieces that were supposed to make them a postseason contender, that's worrisome, I think.
We talked a lot this year about the improvement of Jaylen Brown and Terry Rozier, but one of the guys who have stepped up lately throughout this stretch of games without Kyrie Irving and Marcus Smart has been the new guy, Greg Monroe. Monroe has averaged 13 points, 7 rebounds his past 5 games, and even recorded probably the most unpredictable triple-double in NBA history on Friday night against the Bulls. All right, I get it was against the Bulls, but still, it came out of nowhere. Where is this coming from, and can we expect to see this throughout the foreseeable future?
It was funny the other night. Reporters were kind of asking him yet again if he felt comfortable in the system, and you could just kind of see him getting a little bit annoyed with it because he was just like, "Yeah, I've been here, guys. I'm comfortable. It's okay." I think he's really starting to fit. It was funny when he came in because a lot of Celtics fans and a lot of kind of Celtics observers were like, "I don't know how this guy fits. He doesn't switch defensively. He doesn't do all these things." And once again, Stevens has just done an unbelievable job of finding the perfect way to fit him into the roster. He goes out there with lineups that where it's important that they have somebody who can get their own bucket, and Monroe can score around the basket, and he obviously can pass from the high post. So those two things are really useful in Stevens' system. The way the Celtics run those dribble handoff plays, from the top of the key, Monroe can really work in those, and obviously they can play through him, with backdoor cutters. We saw obviously again it was the Bulls, but we saw that with Jabari Bird and kind of his breakout game. Just the way that he was cutting backdoor and, finding seams, and Monroe was finding him. So, I think he's really fitting in. I think that there is a good chance that he'll be useful in the playoffs, and I think, the Celtics are definitely feeling kind of lucky to have somebody like that out of the buyout market. That's a really big pickup out of that group of players.
This edition of the Celtics pregame report is brought to you by SeatGeek, the best app to go for buying sports and concert tickets. Download the SeatGeek app and enter the promo code Garden Report to have $20 off of your first purchase. That's promo code Garden Report. Save $20 off your first purchase when you download the SeatGeek app. Tom, Washington enters tonight's game 2-7 of their last 10 games and are currently on a 4-game losing streak. What's it going to take out of the Celtics to stretch that 4-game skid to 5?
And this kind of speaks back to your first question, which was, why maybe Celtics fans shouldn't be worried about the Wizards, and it's because they're kind of combusting right now, really struggling. I think there's real chemistry issues going on with that team, so for the Celtics, they just need to come out and they need to kind of hit the Wizards in the mouth a little bit, I think, because if they do that, if they come out, if Tatum and Brown can combine for, something like 18 points in the first quarter, or, whatever it might take, that's going to be really tough for them to come back from. I just don't think that they're very cohesive right now. We mentioned their guard depth. The Celtics are really going to have to defend Beal. You've got to find him behind the 3-point line. You can't let people, you can't can't really sag off very well. Your rotations have to be super, super crisp to try to bother him and Otto Porter. So I think just it's going to be a defensive battle. They really need to, try to especially shut down Porter and Beal. But it's definitely a winnable game, and I think it would be a winnable series. So it'll be a fun one to watch, and it might be a preview.
Yeah, losses against the Cavs and Rockets can happen to any team in the NBA, but dropping games against teams like the Hawks and the Bulls, that's a tough pill to swallow if you're a Wizards fan, especially when you're in the midst of a playoff race that has them only one game out of 7th place, which is, of course, is the difference between facing a Kyrie Irving-less Celtics team or facing the conference-leading Raptors. Why have the Wizards been struggling so lately, Tom, by your estimation?
Yeah, I think it comes back again to just the kind of chemistry issues they're going through. I think that there's going to be some changes this offseason, obviously. I think there will be some guys let go. There will be some guys who probably aren't on the team next year. But again, I think it comes back to they just don't really look very fluid on the court. They don't look really comfortable together. You see guys griping through the media in the locker room all the time. It's been going on all year, especially Marcin Gortat and John Wall. And I just think that relationship is a little bit toxic at this point. And obviously, from afar, they just don't quite have it right now. So this is time for the Celtics to be catching them because they've had stretches this year where they've looked really, really good, and I think Brad Beal has really emerged as a star. But right now, something just isn't working. I think especially in that locker room because their talent is a little bit better than what we've seen on the court over the last couple of weeks.
All right, prediction time, Tom. Who wins tonight?
I'll take the Celtics. Brad Stevens has talked a lot over the last week or so about playing his guys and kind of getting them, a little bit of a rhythm going into the postseason. I think this is the game that makes the most sense. Tomorrow, the Celtics play back in Boston. I think that we will see everybody rest that game. I think there will be a heavy Jonathan Gibson minutes then. I think it'll be. I think the Celtics can take this one, especially given what Brad Stevens is hoping for, in terms of minutes. And I think the only thing that could maybe derail that is if the Celtics do what they did against the Hawks and play everybody for 3 quarters and then shut everybody down for the 4th. So assuming the Celtics play everybody the whole game, I'll take the Celtics. If the Celtics shut everybody down in the 4th, I'll definitely take Washington.
Great stuff, man. He's Tom Westerholm. Give him a follow on Twitter if you're not following him already, at Tom_NBA. Check out all the stuff, of course, at masslive.com/Celtics or the Celtics section of masslive.com. Hey, Tom, man, this is always fun. I'm sure I'll get you back on here at some point throughout the first round of the NBA playoffs, man. Thanks for coming through.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Celtics pregame report. Make sure you check out the Celtics postgame show on the clnsmedia.com website. Or you can call in toll free at 347-215-7771 after the game to get on the air, or just like this show, you can listen to it on demand on the CLNS Media mobile app. Weekday shows air on the Celtics Newsfeed channel, on iTunes, Stitcher, and of course the CLNS Media mobile app. For today's Boston Celtics pregame report with Josue Pavone, this is Josue Pavone signing off.